Namaskar विद्यार्थी मित्रांनो. Okay. So in the last lecture we have learned about the acceleration and the concept of acceleration. Then we have also learned the speed and velocity, distance and displacement. Okay. Now in this lecture we are going to learn the different graphs for the uniform motion and the non-uniform motion. Okay. The first graph is the distance time graph, distance versus time graph for the uniform motion there. Okay. So here the example is that there is a one car, okay, which is covering some distance within with some time, okay, with some equal interval of time. Okay, so that covers the 15 meter within the 10 second. Okay, after further 10 second that car covers the again another 15 meter distance. So likewise that car covers the 105 meter distance, okay, of 70-second time. Within the 70-second time that car reached to a 105 meter distance. Okay, so what is the time interval here? Time interval is 10 second. Okay, for each noting there is a difference of 10 second. First 0 to 10, then 20 to 10, again 30 to 20, or you can say 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70. There is a interval of time is 10 seconds, that is the equal. So we have a equal interval of time there. Okay. Now, what is the distance? Distance is that 0 to 15, again 15 to 30, which means difference of 15 meter. Again 30 to 45, which means difference of 15 meter. Okay. 15 meter is the difference, which means that car covers the equal amount of distance per unit equal amount of time. Okay, so which means it has a uniform motion. We have learned that already. Okay, so let's plot the graph of that example. So we have the time values and we have the distance values. Okay, so we need to find out the distance versus time. We need to plot the distance versus time graph here. So for that you have to plot the distance values on the y-axis and you have to plot the time values on the x-axis there. Okay, so let's take first, for the first condition or the first case, both the values are 0 0. It means the point is at the origin. Now for second, time is 10 second and your distance is 15 second. It means whatever the values is between the, if suppose the scale is that for x-axis it is 1 centimeter is equal to 10 second and for y-axis it is 1 centimeter is equal to 20 meter. So it means whatever the middle value is the 10 here. Okay, and you have to plot the 15. So it in between 10 to 20. So something like this. Okay, so you have a first point there. Now second, time is 20 second and distance is 30 meter. So time is 20 second here and distance is 30 meter. Okay, so 30 lies between the 20 and 40 in between the. Okay, so the point is like this. Now time is 30 and the distance is 45. Time is 30 and distance is 45. Likewise. Okay, so likewise we have to plot the points of all the time and all the distances. Okay, and as you connect all the points of that graph, you will get the one straight line there. Okay, so it means what you get here. So from that graph of distance and time for the uniform motion, the graph for the distance and time for uniform motion is always in a straight line, or whatever the points are in a straight line. Okay, so that straight line will get here. Okay. Now the question is that they use your in your section of use your brain power. So that question is, what does the slope of the straight line indicate? What does the slope of straight line indicate? Which means that is a straight line here. Okay, and slope is what? Slope is nothing but the ratio of. Slope is nothing but the ratio of your y values and the x values. Your y and the x values. It means if you are connecting the any 2 point of that graph on the straight line, okay, and by joining those 2 point uh, like this, okay, you will get some right angle triangle there, okay. So the slope is nothing but the that is the y value and that is your x values. So slope is nothing but the ratio of y to x, okay. Now find out the slope for this graph, okay. So take any 2 points, suppose you are going to take the points of this point and this point, okay. So what is the y value for this? Slope is equal to y divided by x. So y is what? How you can find out the y values? So for this node the value is 60 and for this node the value is 90. So 90 minus 60 here, 90 minus 60 divided by what is the value of this node, that is the 40, and value of this point is the 60. So here the 60 minus 40. So you will get the value of 3 by 2. Now if there is a straight line, the slope is always constant for any value. Slope is always constant for any values, which means if you have taken the any two values like this, so you will get the value of 3 by 2. You can find out this or you can check it out at your home, okay. एक एक्झाम्पल मी सांगतो तुम्हाला, हे बघा. सो इथं the suppose you have to find out the slope between the 2 point, okay. So what is the node is this, 30, that is 30, and what is the node of this 60. So you will get a slope is equal to y divided by x. You will get a here 60 minus 30, and for the x values there is a 20 and there is a 40. So 40 minus 20. So again 30 by 20, you will get the 3 by 2. Okay, so slope for that straight line is a 3 by 2 and it has a constant value for every 2 point, okay. So what is the answer for that question? It is the slope for this straight line is 3 by 2 and it is constant for every 2 points of the graph, okay. So that is the distance time graph for the uniform motion, okay. Now next is the distance time graph for the non-uniform motion. Here is also another example that there is a bus, okay, which is traveling to some place, and that bus has covered some distance in that unit interval of time or the equal interval of time. What is the interval of time here? 0 to 5, which means 5 seconds. 5 seconds, 10 to 5, 5 seconds, 15 to 10, again 5. So equal interval of time is the 5 second. And what is the distance traveled by that bus? So first of all, that bus travels the 7 meter, then 5 meter, then 8 meter, then 10 meter, then 11, then 9 meter, and at last 8 meter. Okay, so the distances covered by that bus is unequal in an equal interval of time. That's why it is known as the non-uniform motion. We have learned that. Okay, so let's plot that graph for the graph of distance time for the non-uniform motion here. Okay, so what are the values for time? 0, so 0, and whatever the distance value is 0, so point is at the origin. Then second value is the for time there is a 5 means in between 0 to 10. Okay, so there is a value 5, and distance is the 7 means near about to 10. Okay, so you will get the point here. Similar for the third reading, the time is 10 seconds and the distance is 12. So 12 means here. Okay, now for the fourth, 15 and 20. So for there is a 20, sorry, 15 means here. Okay, so if you plot all the points, you will get the points like this, and if you connect all that point one with a one line, you will get a the line like this. Okay, so that is not a straight line here. Okay, so it means what? For the distance time graph of the non-uniform motion, you will not get a straight line there. Okay, like in your uniform motion, you will get a straight line there. Okay, so whatever the graph, that is in a straight line, and for non-uniform motion, that is not in a straight line. Okay, so the first question is that does the graph show directly proportionality between distance and time? Whether your distance is directly proportional to time for this graph. So the answer is no. Why? Because that directly proportional, which means as the distance changes, there should be a equal amount of change in a time also, or as the time changes, there should be a equal amount of change in a distance also. Okay, so there is no any equal amount of change of distance as per your time interval. Okay, time remains constant, but whatever the distance or change in distance, that is not a constant one. So for that is a non-uniform motion. So the answer for this question is no. Okay, so no, there is no any direct proportionality between the distance and time. Now the difference between distance and time graph for the uniform and non-uniform motion. So what is the difference here? So you will get a straight line graph for the uniform motion, and you will get a whatever the zigzag line or whatever the disturbed line. Okay, for the distance time graph for the non-uniform motion. Then next difference is the slope of that graph. Slope for the distance time graph for uniform motion is always remains constant, as it is a straight line. Okay, that is here for this example it is a 3/2. So slope is not constant here. You will get the different values for each slope. Okay, so next is the velocity time graph for the uniform velocity. Okay, so there is an example that there is one train which is moving with a constant velocity of 60 km/h, 60 km/h speed. Okay, so that train has a velocity of 60 km/h. Okay, for the 5 hours. Okay, now that is the graph here, as it is a uniform velocity, which means it has a straight line graph. Okay, so he has a constant velocity of 60 km for each hour. Okay, म्हणजे प्रत्येक तासाला 60 km/h या स्पीडनं ती जी काही ट्रेन आहे, जी रेल्वे गाडी आहे ती धावते. Okay, so they ask you the two questions. First is the how will you determine that the distance covered by the train between 2 to 4 hours. So what you need to find out here, how will you determine, तुम्ही काय find out कराल, distance. Okay, so you can find out it by the formula, you can find out it by the orally. Okay, so मी पहिलं तुम्हाला फॉर्म्युलाने कसं काढायचं जे आपण या 9th मध्ये शिकणार आहे ते सांगतो. ओके, सो हाव यू फाइंड आउट द डिस्टन्स इफ यू हॅव द टाइम, if you have the time period and if you have the velocity. So you have the formula speed. Speed is nothing but the distance per unit time. Okay, so what is the distance here? So that you need to find out here. So make a formula, adjust the formula. So distance is nothing but the speed into time here. That time which is in the divide will goes to the in the multiplication. Okay, so distance is equal to, it becomes distance is equal to speed into time. Okay, so what is the speed? Your speed is 60 kilometer per hour and your time period, that is the 2 to 4 hours, which means how many hours are there? 2 to 4, 2, 3 and 4, you have a 2 hours there. Okay, so what is the difference between 4 and 2? 4 minus 2, 2 hours. Okay, so we have a time of 2 hours and we have a speed of 60 kilometer. Then what is the distance there? 62 the or 6 to the 120 kilometer. 120 kilometer. So the distance is 120 kilometer. Okay, you can determine it by the formula. Okay, or orally. Simple. So the train has 60 km/h. It has the constant velocity. म्हणजे त्याचं सेम वेलोसिटी आहे. तो 60 km/h ने ती जी काही ट्रेन असेल ती धावते. बरोबर. सो एका तासाला 60 किलोमीटर. मग 2 तासाला किती झाले? एका तासाला 60 तर 2 तासाला 120. ओके. So that can you determine by the orally also. Now second question is that is there any relation between the distance covered by that train between 2 to 4 hours and the area of the triangle, that quadrangle ABCD? Okay, is there any relation? So there is a relation S. There is a relation between the distance covered by that train between 2 to 4 hours and the area of that quadrangle ABCD. That area. Okay, so how? So if you are going to find out the area of that quadrangle, you will get the value 120. How? So find out the area first. Area of quadrangle ABCD, quadrilateral ABCD. So that is nothing but the, here it looks like a rectangle. So what is that? L into B. So what is the length here? Length that is nothing but the 60 kilometer. That is the 60, and breadth, that is nothing but that is the time. So what is the difference between that 4 and 2? 2 hours. So in between that there is a 2 hour. Into 2 you will get the 120. Okay, 120 unit. Okay, so there is a relation. Whatever the area and whatever the distance, it's same there. Okay. Now second is that what is the acceleration of train here? So is there any acceleration? No. Why? Why there is no any acceleration? Because train is moving with the uniform velocity. Uniform means constant. As there is a constant velocity, which means there is no any change in velocity. म्हणजे काय तर कॉन्स्टंट वेलोसिटी आहे, याचा अर्थ वेलोसिटी मध्ये चेंज नाही. आणि आपल्या एक्सलेशनची डेफिनेशन काय? चेंज इन वेलोसिटी पर युनिट टाइम. देयर शुड बी अ चेंज, देयर मस्ट बी अ चेंज इन द वेलोसिटी. सो इथं वेलोसिटी मध्ये चेंज आहे का? नाही. दॅट युनिफॉर्म वर्ड सेज दॅट इट इज अ कॉन्स्टंट वन. म्हणजेच इथं एक्सलेशन 0 असेल. सो एज देयर इज नो एनी change in velocity, what is the type of acceleration? That is the zero acceleration. So what is the acceleration here? 0. Zero acceleration. Got it? Okay. Okay. So next is the velocity time graph for the uniform acceleration. Okay. Velocity time graph for the uniform acceleration. Okay. So here is the one example that there is a one car. Okay, that car is traveling with the some velocity. Okay, so and also it changes some velocity after the some interval of time. Okay, so what is the time interval here? Time interval is that 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, which means there is a 5 seconds. Time interval is 5 seconds there. Okay, after each 5 seconds that the velocity of that car is been changed there. Okay, and what is the change in velocity there? 0 to 8 meter per second, again 8 to 16, again 8 meter per second. So it has a constant change in velocity. As there is a constant change in velocity, it means it has a uniform acceleration. When the change in velocity is equal in the equal interval of time, that is known as the uniform acceleration, that we have learned. Okay, and that is the graph. Okay, graph plotted by the readings that we have. Okay, so now here you need to find out the distance of that car covered between the time 10 to 20 second. Between the time 10 to 20 सेकंड, म्हणजे 10 ते 20 या सेकंदापर्यंत जी कार धावली ती कार 8 मीटर पर सेकंड या कॉन्स्टंट व्हेलॉसिटीने धावली. ओके, सो ज्या व्हेलॉसिटीने ती कार धावली त्या आपल्याला नोटिंग्स मध्ये 20 ते 10 या सेकंदांमध्ये तिनं कव्हर केलेलं डिस्टन्स आपल्याला फाइंड आउट करायचं. ओके, सो लेट्स फाइंड इट. ओके, वी कॅन फाइंड इट बाय द फॉर्म्युला वी हॅव, that is the distance is nothing but the speed into time. Okay, so speed is nothing but the distance per unit time. We have modified that formula and it forms that distance is equal to speed into time. Okay, so what is this? What is the speed or what is the velocity? Speed is nothing but the velocity. Okay, if the motion is in a straight line. So straight line साठी आपण सगळे शिकतो हे. If the motion is in a straight line, speed and velocity is constant. Okay, so speed, what is the speed here? For the 10 to 20 second, for 10 second it is 16. It is, so you need to find out the average speed here first. Average speed is nothing but the, at 10 second it is 60, then at 20 second it is the 32. So find out the average there. What is the average? Average speed is 32 plus 16, 48 divided by 2, so that is the 24 meter per second. That is the average speed. Why we found that average speed here? Because there is a change in velocity, there is a change in speed. बदल झालेला आहे म्हणून आपण आपल्याला average काढावं लागेल. ओके, so now distance is equal to speed is 24 meter per second into time is that 10 to 20 seconds, means what is the difference between 20 minus 10? 10 second. 10 ते 20 सेकंड म्हणजे किती सेकंड झाले? 10 सेकंड झाले. ओके, so you will get the 240 meters. So what is the distance here? 240 meters. Okay, got it? What is the distance here? 240 meters. Now, is there any relationship between whatever the area of that figure A, B, C, D, figure A, B, C, D and the distance S? We have learned in the previous example that there is a relation. Okay, whatever the distance is equal to the area covered by that figure. Okay, so which means this area. So you need to find out the area here. Okay, so find out the area. Okay, so we are going to find out the area of that quadrangle and we'll check that whether it is same as your distance or not. Okay, so we have the two methods. First, just divide that figure into two figures. Suppose first that is the triangle and that is the, you can say, rectangle. Okay, so area of that quadrilateral ABCD is nothing but the area of triangle ABE plus area of that rectangle ADCE. So what is the area of triangle? 1 half B into H plus area of that L into B. Okay. So 1 half. What is the base of that rectangle? AE. A is how much it is? 10 to 20, which means 10 second. And what is the height? BE. 32 minus 16. Again 16. Okay. So plus L into B. Length of that ADCE length, whatever the length. Suppose take AE as the length, that is again 10, and B, suppose AD is the breadth, that is again 16. So what you can get here, just divide it by the 80 plus 160, you will get the 240. You will get the 240. Okay. So that area of ABCD is 240 units. Okay. So it is same. It is same as your distance. Okay. So it is correct that the distance traveled by that car is nothing but the area covered by that figure. Okay. Got it?